Hi guys, good afternoon. It's Monday, August 25th, 2025. And so what I wanted to share with you today is these four guys. So we know who this guy is: Hitler, Trump, Putin, and Netanyahu, just in case you didn't know. And so what we wanted to understand is, because everybody says, Trump is like Hitler. And then we also wanted to look at the fact that he has connection to Putin and the connection to Netanyahu. And the issue here is, the way we look at it is that they're basically the same person. Okay. And so if you believe in reincarnation, or understand reincarnation, this is for you. If you don't, then this isn't for you, because you're not going to believe it. Okay. So we already did an R squared, and it's pretty high. Okay. So we'll go through that as well, on the similarities. Obviously, there's some differences. So the bottom line here is, the way Hitler died caused his soul to basically fracture or shard, right? Break apart. And so we have Trump, okay, being born first, taking basically almost a year later. So Hitler died in April 1945, and Trump was born in June 1946. So the concept of reincarnation is that if you're engaging in evil deeds, you're generating a lot of karma. And so obviously, with everything that he did in the 1930s and 40s, he generated a lot of karma. But the way he also died was the reason why we believe that his soul may have fractured. Even though this concept is relatively new, it is something that I think is the likely scenario of why we have a connection between these three. Okay, so there's a connection between these three. They're connected. If you want to say spiritually or otherwise, they're connected. Okay, so if they're connected, what brings them together is this guy. Okay, and so the concept is original. Okay, so you're welcome to share it and talk about it, but it is an original concept that nobody has talked about. Everybody's talked about Hitler and Trump, the correlation, but nobody's ever talked about Hitler and Netanyahu, who, by the way, was born in New York and not Israel. And the fact that you have now potentially, based on our analysis, that you basically have the leader of Israel being a potential shard of Hitler, the very essence of why Israel state became. And so we'll go through that. We'll go through Putin as well. So it's interesting. It is, from my standpoint, the end of one will cause the end of the others. And so in the U.S., we have wars that he has created for us, being Americans. Russia has created war with Ukraine, and he will continue. And Netanyahu has created wars with Gaza, the Palestinians, Iran, and elsewhere. And the irony here is, if what I say is true, which is an original thought, you literally have him being war with Americans, and that's his shard. You had him war with Russians, and that's his shard. You have him war with Jews, and that's his shard. So guess what? That's pretty ironic. And the thing is, this is not meant to be ironic. It is just meant for the universe to do what sometimes the universe does, and we don't understand it. And so I think that this is interesting. So let's get into it. without me going too much further into it and repeating what will be said. So let's just get into it.
The Hitler Horcrux Prophecy, Timeline of Tyranny, 1889-2030s. Scroll 1889 to 1945, the source soul, Adolf Hitler. 1889, birth in Austria, failed artist, World War I soldier, scarred by defeat. 1919 to 1933, rise to power, joins the German Workers' Party, transforms it into the Nazi Party. Harnesses propaganda, oratory, and scapegoating to ignite mass populism during Depression. 1933 to 1939, dictatorship, becomes Chancellor Führer. Abolishes democracy after Reichstag fire. 1939 to 1945, war and atrocities, invades Poland, launches World War II. Oversees the Holocaust, 6M Jews, millions more killed. April 30th, 1945, death and Shatterpoint, suicide by gun plus cyanide in Berlin bunker, body burned. His soul fractures violently, scattering like horcrux shards. Result, fragments embed not in allies, but in Hitler's fiercest enemies, Americans, Jews, Russians. New Moon 1946 to 1952, the births of the shards. Donald Trump, the American fragment, born June 14th, 1946 in Queens, New York, under a full moon eclipse. Hitler dies in 1945. Trump appears 13 months later. In reincarnation lore, violent deaths often reincarnate quickly. Trump becomes the core vessel. Benjamin Netanyahu, the Jewish fragment, born October 21st, 1949 in New York, not Israel. The paradox, the Jewish shard of Hitler's fractured essence, rising to lead the very people Hitler hated most. Vladimir Putin, the Russian fragment, born October 7th, 1952 in Leningrad, USSR, waning gibbous moon. Just 7 years after Hitler's death, inside the very nation that bled most to defeat him. All three shards born within 7 years of 1945, the karmic residue still burning. Cross Swords 1970s, 2000s, the rise of the fragments. Trump builds real estate empire on debt, becomes celebrity via The Apprentice. Netanyahu joins Israeli politics, rises as defender of Zionism. Putin, KGB officer, Moscow politics, consolidates power in Kremlin. By the 2000s, each shard is embedded in its nation's DNA. Trident Emblem 2010s, 2025, the Wars of the Shards. Trump, U.S. wars. Domestic, endless vendettas, impeachments, January 6th insurrection, prosecuting opponents. International, tariffs on allies, hostility toward NATO/EU, authoritarian alignments. Economic authoritarianism, in 2025, begins seizing stakes in Intel and other companies, forcing partial nationalization. This mirrors Hitler's fascist economics, not free markets, but state-dominated corporate control. Investors cheer short-term, but historically such takeovers end in collapse. Netanyahu Jewish wars. Gaza wars, Iranian escalation, West Bank expansion. Judicial overhaul triggers historic protests. Irony, Jews who killed Rabin for making peace now turn on Netanyahu for refusing peace. Putin, Russian wars. Invades Ukraine, 2022, echoing Hitler's invasion of USSR. Assassinations, poisonings, Litvinenko, Skripal, Navalny. Paranoid purges of generals and oligarchs. Each shard wages the same battles Hitler fought: endless wars, betrayal, control of economies, destruction of democracy. Drop of blood shared traits. Nationalism, America first, Jewish state supremacy, Mother Russia. Scapegoating, immigrants, Palestinians, NATO, enemies within. Cult of personality, MAGA rallies, Bibi loyalists, Putin's strongman cult. Authoritarianism, attacks on courts, press, rivals. Economic fascism, Trump's forced corporate stakes mirror Hitler's Nazi-era cartel state. Bar chart, our superscript 2 correlation, Hitler-Trump. Populist rise equals 75%. Propaganda and scapegoating equals 80%. Cult of personality equals 85%. Authoritarian moves equals 65%. Historical outcome, global war versus democratic erosion, equals 40%. Overall soul echo, 62% correlation. Trump is not Hitler reborn perfectly, but a warped reincarnation, echoing his essence under modern conditions. Balance scale the projected ends, 2025, 2030s. Trump, the American shard, ends in physical collapse, health fails, heart, stress, obesity. Like Hitler, undone by his own body. Netanyahu, the Jewish shard, ends in removal by his own people, protests, indictments, revolt. Echo, Jews turning on their own, as with Rabin. Putin, the Russian shard, ends in poison/betrayal by insiders, his weapon turned against him. Echo, Hitler's cyanide, but by his circle's hand. None will die peacefully. All fall violently, unnaturally. Link interconnection, horcrux logic. Destroy one, the others weaken. Trump falls, Netanyahu and Putin lose US cover. Netanyahu falls, Zionist nationalist project fractures, isolating Trump/Putin. Putin falls, Trump loses secret advisor. Netanyahu loses protector. They rise together, they fall together. Bomb the truth bomb. If revealed. Americans, Trump equals Hitler's shard MAGA fractures. Israelis, Netanyahu equals Hitler fragment unbearable paradox revolt. Russians, Putin equals Hitler reborn nationalist myth collapses since World War II pride is sacred. Exposure of their true essence could accelerate their collapse. Milky Way resolution, the Eve soul rises. When all three shards are destroyed, Hitler's fractured soul dissipates. The horcrux chain breaks. In their place, healer souls, Eve lineage, rise. Leaders of compassion and justice, Mandela, Gandhi, MLK, Malala, Greta, Raphael Warnock, or new prophetic figures yet unseen. Balance returns. Tyranny's cycle ends. Final prophecy. From Hitler's birth in 1889 to his death in 1945, from Trump's rebirth in 1946 to Putin and Netanyahu's rise, the dark echo of Hitler's fractured soul has haunted us. Now, in the 2020s, their fates converge. Trump wages wars at home, even nationalizing corporations like Hitler's fascist regime. Netanyahu drags Israel into endless conflict, hated by the very people he claims to defend. Putin bleeds Russia and Ukraine, paranoid, poisoning, awaiting betrayal. All three are bound by the same soul. All three will fall violently. And when they do, the horcrux is shattered, and the Eve soul lineage will guide humanity into light.
So this horcrux, this is how I base this on, which is basically from Harry Potter. So this philosophy of how the soul shards is from that theory. Okay, J.K. Rowling, right? The book Harry Potter series. So you can take it for whatever it's worth. So we will see what plays out. But I believe that these four guys are connected. And so we are, the reason why I did this is so you can understand what is happening. So you can understand what's happening, number one. Number two is you can see what is happening. And number two is what we can do to stop it, which is weaken one, because weaken one will weaken all three. And we just went through that, right? Just repeat that again.
Link interconnection, horcrux logic. Destroy one, the others weaken. Trump falls, Netanyahu and Putin lose US cover. Netanyahu falls, Zionist nationalist project fractures, isolating Trump/Putin. Putin falls, Trump loses secret advisor. Netanyahu loses protector. They rise together, they fall together.
And so we know that Trump has health issues physically. And I'll go through this in another video. Based on the fact that Mercury retrograde affects him, the next Mercury retrograde, which is late October, November, will impact him. So we'll go through that as well. And so this Mercury retrograde that just passed uncovered that he does have some health issues, and it's being suppressed on how bad it is, how bad his condition is, how bad his heart is, how bad whatever else that's going on in his body is. So the next Mercury retrograde, end of October, November, I think will be very explosive for his health, not in a good way. So it will uncover exactly what is happening to him publicly, and it will cause confusion because that's what Mercury retrograde also does. So he will feel pain and it will be shown to us, but it will also cause confusion, and he will try to gaslight us, manipulate us on exactly what is happening to him. But this Mercury retrograde, I don't believe that he will be able to do that as effectively as he did this past Mercury retrograde that we just had in July. Okay, that just ended in July. Beginning of August 10th. And so my point is that because of his physical health, that will be the starting downfall for these other two guys, because we want the war in the US to end, war that he has, basically us fighting each other, ICE, the cities, all his stuff that he's doing, they will all end when he's not around. And the war will end with Ukraine when Putin is not around. And the war will end with the Palestinians and Gaza and Iran and anything else that he's doing that basically he's capable of doing with the protection of Trump. Okay? So my point is that you have to wait a few more weeks, a few more months. And as we're kind of drilling down even more, you guys should as well. Okay, you're welcome to look this up, do a chat GPT to confirm my original idea of them being the same person. Okay, so you can do that as well. Just put everything that I did in there. You can check it out on AI, another AI system. You can do your own work. But this is what I see, and we need to put an end to it. And as it said, we will see somebody rise. If that person is Newsom or somebody else, most likely it is Newsom. So that's the good news. The bad news is we shouldn't expect that person, one specific person, to be the slayer. Okay, we all collectively have to be the slayer. You know why? Is because if I am correct, and it's 3 shards, this shard is in the US, this shard is in Russia, this shard is in Israel. So although they're connected, and as I said, and with Trump being the critical one, being the first shard, probably the more powerful of the 3, being the American president, among other things, having that power. Once he starts weakening or not being around, that will affect the other 2, okay, in a negative way, which is what we want. But for all that to happen, we also need to put pressure on all 3 of them, okay? All right, just like we did in Nazi Germany in 43, 44, 45. And so it took many years for us to prevail on all fronts, right, against Hitler and Nazi Germany. So 43 was okay, 44 was better, and 45 was the end, right? It took that long. So that's exactly what's happening here. So this is not as simple as just winning the midterms and then expecting MAGA to go away. They're not going to go away. We'll talk about that in another video. But let's first address this, okay? Because we need to address this. We can address MAGA. We can address what's happening with the economy, what will happen with the economy with AI, which we've kind of talked about already, but we'll talk more about it. So those are the issues. We have the issue of Trump and these two other guys, Putin and Netanyahu. That's very important that we deal with it. And these wars. So these wars are causing us distress and human being distress. So even though these individuals that are dying are in Ukraine, Ukrainians and Palestinians and other human beings, they don't need to die. And the reason why they are is because they're all connected to him. Okay, so this is how it's playing out. We need that to stop. We need to address climate change. We need to address AI. We need to address many other things, but these are the 3-4 things that we need to address. So let's start out with this, and let's see where we can go from here and make some progress. And definitely what we need to do is absorb this, do your own research, do your own work. And if you agree, we need to fight back. If there is other things that we can do to fight back, please message me and let's go from there. All right, have a good day.